All right, we are here. Ray as vice chair. If you'd like to lead us in.
Sure, call to order, roll call. You have the members of the names now, Mike?
Yes, we do. So let's do Fricano here, Kiefner
Here.
here, Dash.
Mm-hmm.
Absent, we have Wolin, Dorfer, and Tyndall, as well as alternate Eitland. Um, there are no minutes to approve, Mr. Chair. For our last meeting, we did not hit quorum. And so our discussions were entirely informal, and we never formally convened the meeting.
Okay. Opportunity for public comment. We have nobody from the public here.
Not appear so.
We can see. Old business is Celebrate Mansfield, which is
Yes, so we
oh,
have to let everyone know what staff did. Last time we agreed we would have that raffle basket, we'd have the Indian corn guessing game. We have ordered our crates of apples to give away to the kids. Those are coming in. I've got some local honey and maple syrup, as well as some gift cards for local ice cream, and I'm in the process of getting some local produce from Cobblestone Farm and Riverview Farm.
Perfect.
That will wrap up in the basket, and it'll be just a nice, beautiful autumn giveaway for whoever wins that game. And the biggest thing that we needed to discuss with this remaining is who's available at what times on Saturday, the 28th. So jumping back into my email here, we had
I'll just let you know I will be out of town, so not around.
That's totally okay. Um, so we have Dorothy Del Valle is tabling with us from 2 to 4. Um, and so the event is from 2 to 6, and you need probably about 30 to 45 minutes beforehand and after for setup teardown. We'll be next to the folks for Taste of Mansfield. And so we normally do a little bit of collabs on that, which many hands make light work. Um, so Margaret will be there for some time. Normally we've had some luck with Jiff Martin, but since she's no longer with Taste of Mansfield, having to focus on stuff at UConn, she's no longer available. Ray, I know that you often do stuff for Human Rights Commission.
yeah, but
I
I'm
wasn't
gonna
sure
float.
about.
I'm floating around. I'll be there all day.
Okay,
I'll be there. I'll help you for setup, I guess. I think the Human Rights Commission has enough, but I'll help you for setup for both Taste of
okay,
Mansfield and plus. I kind of
that's
consider that
great.
one table.
Melanie, are you free at all?
Saturdays are difficult for me, especially at the end of the month. I may be able to, but I don't know if I can actually take a full shift.
That's
It'll be
fine. If
more
you'd be
like,
available for teardown, that would be helpful as
yeah,
well. Because
okay.
if you could come around like 5 and then 5 to 6 and then that help take stuff apart. Um, or you could just be there at 6 to help tear everything down. That could
I
also
think
work.
I can sign up for that. I was gonna say I don't think I can get there before 4, but I think I can get there for 5, so I can help with
Okay.
that. Where are we
So we'll
bringing
have
all the materials at the end?
So the plan is that we're going to bring stuff back to town hall, which is just that quick walk down the street because Celebrate Mansfield is in the downtown. So you just cross the street and then walk back to town hall. And I imagine probably pile it in my office will be what
Okay.
the plan is. Just leave it for me to sort out on Monday. Um, we'll have everything ahead of time in crates to bring down and set up for the table. I've got a whole thing that I'll coordinate with Margaret and with Dorothy, who'll be there at the start, so she can do setup. So it'll be out there already with tables and stuff. But if people want to be there, recognize you can't, Chris. It would be good to have um chairs of your own if you want to have a chance to sit down. So Ray, if you could, if Melanie can get there at 5 and do the end of the day, if you could cover in the 4 to 5 gap, with your floating, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic.
So you
Fantastic.
think Margaret and Dorothy will deliver the stuff to the site and then we'll set it up?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And then just
Then we have to
schlep
bring
it
it back
back.
to your office.
Yep. And because you can either walk it or you can load it into cars. I'll talk with Margaret and send out an email about what the load up plan will be. Because it might be easier to just throw stuff in the back of a car and then drive it, the minute down the street. Okay, so I will forward the information that I have in the Celebrate Mansfield packet, which we have. I got a hard copy and I also got an electronic. I will forward that to you two, in order to make sure that you know where we are, where a table is, and where parking would be best. And then that'll be great. It'll be a fun day. And can talk to some people about local ag and the farms and what we do, and that'll be great.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Will you contact the absent members maybe and just see if they have any availability?
Absolutely, I will. I'll see if anybody can do anything. I know Diane is contributing stuff to the basket that we're putting together. So she might well be able to be there for part of the time as well. And then yeah, I'll try to make sure that folks can get in.
Just so I know when I'm tabling, do we still have any properties that are available for lease if people were to submit applications? Is that one?
We do. Yep.
Yeah.
So we have the 3-acre field on Bone Mill Road across from Tri-County Greenhouse. And we have the Coventry Road piece, which is pretty overgrown, but that will be available come starting next year. We're using it as a temporary staging ground right now for our some of the road repairs. The Public Works have requested that they be able to temporarily stage equipment there, mow it, and then return it to ag field condition when they're done staging there. And that's going to be exclusively over the course of this winter. So that should be fine. They won't have any oils or loading of refueling equipment on that. So that should be workable.
So they are going to
I'll make sure that
they're going to knock everything down in there.
Well, they're gonna mow it down to workable, which is great. So that way the woody invasives are waxed down.
I had thought it wasn't that piece that a neighbor was going to do.
Yep. So Jim Gailey, to give you an update on that, he lives across the street from this, and we finally got it finalized with our insurance company. So the reason that got held up for so long was normally we have a legal agreement with the people who are leasing the fields, and they carry liability insurance. Mr. Gailey was offering to do us a good turn, but unfortunately, because we didn't have a legal agreement, our insurance was very concerned about what becomes the liability if somebody gets hurt on the field when we've said, sure, you can do this for us. So that had to get settled. So I'm actually this coming week going to draft up the final and send it to Mr. Gailey and say, thank you for doing this. Please mow at these times of the year, then and let it, reflower, and then mow it down to the end of the year. And you can maintain it for us. So
okay, good. And can you be sure to put in that unless we otherwise lease it to a farmer, to a some version of a farmer.
Yep.
Okay.
When we went out to bid with this last year, did we have descriptions of each property?
We did. I can print those and make them available for the table.
And we have a map.
That would be great.
These two properties?
Yep, I can do that.
Yes.
I would love it. Thanks.
Michael, you have a map of the whole town?
I do. I have a map of the town with where the fields are highlighted, and I as well have individual pieces that show what the fields are like.
Great. Thank you.
I'll provide all those. Yep. Put them with our Mansfield grown brochures, and that'll be good.
Good. New business. I guess we'll all set with Celebrate Mansfield then, correct?
I think so. That's staffing taken care of, and we last month worked out what we were gonna do for an activity. So bring your smiling personalities and talk up local ag.
All right, new business. We have the plan of conservation and development, I guess, is up for renewal.
Yes. So this is we don't necessarily have to do anything with this today. But what I need to tell you all is that per state statute, every 10 years, the town's master plan of conservation and development has to be updated. And so the last time we did it was 2015. We have to have it ready and submitted to the Office of Policy Management at the state in 2025. We are on track to do that. But now what we need to do is we need to assess all the existing goals and strategies and actions that we set out for ourselves 10 years ago. And we need to make an assessment of what has worked and what hasn't. Is there
Right.
anything that we should change? Is there any information that's pertinent for us to include that we didn't have in there before? And so while the face of agriculture in Mansfield has not changed drastically, as the Agriculture Advisory Committee, I provided you specifically with Chapter 3 of the Plan of Conservation Development. This is about our open spaces and agriculture. And what it would be very helpful for the planning department, if you could all do, is read this through, make any notes if you have things that you think should be included, if you have any questions about whether the content is clear. It's always good to be able to make sure we can rewrite sentences to clarify things in our new version. And think about whether there's anything else that we should be promoting with agriculture. If there are trends in agriculture that we haven't captured in here, things we might want to consider doing. I know, Melanie, you are actively a farmer. If there are things that have changed about the economics of farming that we should consider, if there are things we should try to do, think about that. Chris, you have a lot of land in Public Act 490, I think, right? So if there's any recommendations in there about forestry that don't make a whole lot of sense based on your practical experience, let us know. And that way we can make sure we have the most logical plan going forward.
Great.
Great. Yep.
When do we want to have comments on this by?
So our next meeting is in November. And I think what we are slated for is we are slated to have a discussion in November with our consultant who we are writing this plan with. We hired a consultant because we need a little bit more manpower for the actual writing of the plan's like 400 pages in total, so rewriting it is a lot. But there's going to be a workshop there where they're going to approach you with a lot of their questions about what you think about these things. So having in the next 2 months, think about some of these things, provide some preliminary comments such that when we have this meeting that you will all be invited to, you can come in and ready to talk about some of the things you've already been thinking about. But you don't have to have final comments until sometime around like March. There's going to be a
Right.
second meeting 4 months afterwards, where they'll kind of collate everyone's comments, ask you to go away with stuff and come back with stuff, and then we'll try to iron some more stuff out in March.
And the consultant meeting in November, that's a separate meeting from our normal committee meeting, right? So we'll have a committee
Yes.
meeting and then there will be another
Yes.
one that we'll be invited to. Okay.
Correct. I would give you the date and time, but the contract officially starts for the POCD review on October 1st, so I don't technically have a date for that yet because they haven't given me one.
Okay, that's fine.
You know the name of the consultant?
Yes, this is FHI Group.
Michael, how involved were you in selecting them?
I sat on the committee that did the interviews of the 3 consultants who we shortlisted. So
Okay.
the process was that we originally went out for a RFP and we only got 1 group back. So instead, we resubmitted an RFQ, which gives the consultant a bit more flexibility in what they can propose for scope. We got 5 consulting firms
Oh, that's
responding.
interesting.
Yep, we got 5 consulting firms responding. We took our top 3 respondents and we had hour-long interviews with each of those groups, thinking about what they were thinking for scope, the things that they thought were needed. Ultimately, FHI was selected in part because they are working on our Northwest Mansfield plan. And so they have already been in the community. They've already been getting a lot of feedback from folks, specifically concerning how development patterns have changed around Four Corners and in the proximity of Yukon. So they don't have to do as much groundwork in order to get up to speed on the town. And we think that's going to be really valuable for being able to drill down on a couple key issues and then produce a plan that's had a bit more time than we often do.
Okay, thanks. That's great.
If it wouldn't be too much of a burden, Mike, could you just, to our absent members, you're gonna be contacting them about the, Celebrate Mansfield. You could just ask them
Yes.
also to celebrate, to get themselves familiar with this, plan.
Will do.
without
Absolutely.
giving too much
I'll send
detail,
that
'cause
in
we don't
follow-up
get to
email.
see them.
Mm-hmm.
Good. That meeting in November will probably be in person, right? Isn't that how it was?
Say again?
That meeting we'll have with the consultant most likely be in person because it'll be other groups.
Yes, I would imagine that would be an in-person meeting. Probably, I would imagine they'd hold it around 7 p.m. In town hall, probably in the council chambers, in order to get as many people out as possible, do a round table around the big conference room table, bring in some extra chairs, and then split out into working groups with kind of cross-pollinate some people across committees in order to get the thoughts percolating.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions about this? Okay, reports from members. Anybody have any reports about anything going on?
Actually, yeah, there's a at UConn. I'm going to try to pull it up so I can make a correct reference. UConn on October 29th is they're having I forget if they do this annually or every other year, but anyway, their invasive plant symposium, which people might be interested in. I am very seriously considering going. It's I don't know the hours. Where is it? Agenda. Again, it's on the 29th. It's right here at UConn. Hillside Road, it says, but I just clicked on, so now that screen's gone. Can't give you the address, and I'm waiting for the agenda to show up. Yeah, it starts at 8 a.m. and continues, the last item is at 4:15. So it's effectively an all-day event. Again, it's October 29th. And if you register by September 20th, it's $75. After that, it's $85. If you are a matriculated student, and I think, didn't I matriculate if I graduated? Isn't that what that means?
I believe that's what yes, I believe
Yeah.
that's what it says.
I should go in for $35.
Well, good for you.
Well,
No. Anyway, I
What
think
day
their
is that?
option is $75.
What day is that?
It's on the 29th, which is, I believe,
Sunday.
is that right? Okay.
Yeah, that's Sunday the 29th.
Yeah, let me just look. Oh, actually, it says it's at the UConn Student Union. I thought it was over on the other part of campus. UConn Student Union.
I have the 29th as a Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it September 29th or October 29th?
October 29th.
Oh, yes, that is a Tuesday.
That's what
Well,
I
that's
thought.
cool.
That was my recollection.
Because I can make that.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think that'd be very worthwhile to
The town of Mansfield has a very large number of invasive plants, so
Yeah,
I'm going to go
just
to
like
that
everybody
meeting.
else.
Yeah. They're out of control.
There's so much bittersweet and knotweed in all of my parks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our property, the back is just completely overgrown with invasives. And every year we try to like cut back.
Molly, where do you live?
I'm on Woods Road, over by Pleasant Valley
Mhm.
Road. So was just a section in between me and my neighbor's property where I'd say it looks like for 20 years, just no one
Yeah.
controlled anything or mowed it.
Yeah.
So there's trees that are just dead and we have to take
You've
down.
been
and-
overwhelmed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pulling down more, but bit by bit. We got a flail mower this year, so that's been helping
Good.
at least
Yeah.
enter somewhere, you know?
That's great. You enter backwards for a little while, but they seem to actually work better going forwards.
I am going to, I mentioned it at the last meeting, now the school's in session, I'm going to try to get a representative from the E.O. Smith Ag Department, a student, to be either a member or a recurring participant of this community.
That'll be great. Yeah, so I don't think there is any rule against a student being on this committee. I went back and I checked through, and as far as I can tell, there is no rule that says a high school student can't sit an advisory committee. I don't think you can be elected to things until you are able to vote, but as far as I could tell, the rules for an advisory committee did not exclude that.
Great.
I'm also gonna, when I do that, I'm also gonna reach out to them again and, you know, those blue jackets should be visible at the Celebrate Mansfield. I really feel that way. I mean, FFA should be an active part of the community. I've been beating on them for quite a while about that, and I'm not having good luck, but I'm hoping that we can get more participation from the young folks and help us not only with events, but, you know, giving us input on what is important in the future. I just got a notice from USDA about, you know, youth loan program where they make up to a $5,000 loan to a student who is, you know, doing their either a 4-H or a FFA project to help them, you know, buy materials or whatnot. So it'd be a shame if somebody doesn't use that money. I think it's a loan with if they meet the commitments, it turns into a grant, but I'm not completely sure. But I'm going to continue to work on E.O. Smith. I'm working with them in the Human Rights Commission also for other things. So I'm trying to get a real good connection with them. I hate my connection with the principal is a lot stronger than with the FFA. I haven't talked to the principal about FFA yet, but it may come to that we need to really, I really want to see them more active. Maybe that's just a personal thing because I'm a former member from a long, long time ago. 50 years now and more. That's it for me. Anything else from anybody else on activities or reports?
I guess I can report that the first full week of October, so October 7th to 11th, is CT Grown for CT Kids Week in the state of Connecticut, which is just supporting local agriculture in schools and you know, trying to do different taste testings at schools. Different places are having different events. I'm not sure. I know that they are planning events in Mansfield Center. I don't know if they're open to the public, but that's just something that's coming up. So you'll probably see it in any kind of ag related stuff.
Very good.
Mike, there was something Maria wanted from us or not? She's looking for a farmer or somebody to participate with her ag. Are you familiar? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Mariah
Could you
was
give
looking for. She
was
said
something from Maria
October is farm
Capriani?
to school month. She's gonna highlight
Oh, Mariah.
Mariah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Mariah Poplewski, who is the head of the nutrition program at the schools, is looking to, in October, do a sort of like, first, there's supposed to be a community dinner that we're thinking we'll probably do at some point in November. But in October, the idea being there would be some sort of educational event where we would have a farmer come to the schools and talk to the students about local ag, as well as potentially some stuff about like what agriculture looks like on the farm and in the community. So what was her email? She had said specifically.
Mariah is the one planning the Mansfield events for the month of October for CT Grown
Mhm.
for CT Kids, so that makes sense.
Yeah, would love to have a farmer come to lunch at a school lunch day and be present for a taste test of some local food, because the kids enjoy talking and asking questions. We want to do something more formal, like have you talk to a class. We have to work with the building principals and teachers, and we're open to any fun ag-related contributions to a lunch service. So there's potentially a lot of room for fun stuff and some outreach in the schools. Which I always love to do, and I'm available during the day as long as I can set up my calendar, since I'm working in the office in town, and I can schedule my inspections around that. I know this October is right, tail end of harvest, so it's busy for a lot of people. But
It would be great if we could invite Diane, because I know she does sell to the local school system, so she's already involved. So yeah, if they might be doing taste tests with some of, her products or something, so that could be interesting.
yeah,
Um,
that would be
maybe we
great.
can
And I
invite
got to
her.
talk to Diane a few times this week, so I'll see if I can plant the idea in her head.
Okay, if
It's
you don't
it's a
get, if
busy
you don't
time
get
of
a
year,
name,
but
then Mike, let us know so we can kind of brainstorm a little bit
Absolutely.
and think about a plan B. I mean, Stearns is an obvious possibility, but I don't know who.
The Stearnses would definitely be, but the Stearnses and I don't talk quite as much. So we'll see what we can do.
yeah, let me know
Great.
if I can help with that as we get closer. I don't know if I'll be
Absolutely.
able to go, but I can try.
Most likely I'd be able to go too, just to be around, just to hang in the background, make sure it goes okay. Any other reports from members? Okay, communications, do we have any communications?
Nothing that we haven't discussed. Nothing else has come in. Rather, there was a complaint that came in about Mr. Michael Bergeron's field on Crane Hill. So he is renting our field on Crane Hill. Specifically about the fact that part of the field didn't have cover crop. So he's only using part of the field right now as he's expanding his vegetable growing operation, and he didn't wind up cover cropping. The other part of the field didn't do hay or corn on part of it, so the field lay fallow. And I don't know how much of a problem this report is, or if this is caused by a series of personality conflicts that are entirely unrelated to the actual best ag practices. But I will be reaching out to Mr. Bergeron just to confirm his expansion of operation plans that he did reveal to us up front when we did the ag land leases.
How long ago did you get the complaint?
We got it yesterday, and I went out and looked yesterday, and yes, it doesn't look like most of the field was in corn, but I could see that he did have his vegetables growing on the field. So we'll talk about it and talk about what he should do for this coming year.
What percentage would you say did he not plant?
I think he's probably only got a quarter of the field in cultivation right now. So because he's got the front, it's about half the width. And he definitely doesn't have it all the way back. I don't know if it's a quarter to a third of the field that he's got going right now, but we'll talk about making sure that he's got corn on that field. If it's not going to be, used,
It doesn't have to be corn.
Doesn't have to be corn. It's just I think it used to be a cornfield, so
right.
It works.
Yeah, if he's not going to use it, cover crops would be.
Where was the who was the complainant or the letter writer?
It was a phone call complaint, and I must admit that I don't recall the name because the call came into Jennifer, and Jennifer verbally told me about the content of the complaint about 3 hours after the call had come in. So I then went out about 2 hours later to go look for the field.
All right.
So I'll give you an update in November. Hopefully it'll all be solvable.
I remember that's.
I'm sorry. I had
no. Okay, I was just gonna say that was a really large field, and I remember talking to him about The expansion, I'm not surprised that he didn't cultivate the entire field this year, but yeah, we can see moving forward how that can improve.
Michael, how involved will we be with the complaint? Do we get
It would,
involved?
so the only way I would elevate this to you is that your charge has you managing the ag fields, and you have the authority to evaluate at the end of the year when we get a report in from all of our farmers, whether or not there's anything that would be out of compliance with the agricultural use agreement that everybody agrees to when they lease our fields. So if I think that there is something, I would elevate it to you and you could discuss and have Mr. Bergeron into a meeting to, discuss, do you think that he's violated the terms of this? And do you think it was a violation that was flagrant enough to potentially revoke the lease for a coming year? Or do you think that it can just be resolved as long as it doesn't happen again in a following year?
I can tell you, I mean, you might say this to him, I don't know how other members feel, but it's disappointing that he did not come and talk to us and say, hey, as it turns out, because this, that, and the other thing, I am only going to be planting 40%. It just, that advance notice would have been helpful.
Yeah, well, so I'll talk to him and let him know, and let him know. You can always shoot us an email or call me, and that way we stay in communication, because it's a big change for how that field's been used in the past. We want to see it used productively. So
Although,
I'll let you know how that goes.
Also, when you talk to him, I would love to have you get whatever information you can in terms of how productive it was, how, if he's got any kind of weight estimates or whatever the unit measurement might be for the crop, to give us a sense of what he's gotten out of it, would be great. Because again, my bias on it was that this is, feeding humans directly rather than through animals. And that was a value to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get that. And I think that would be a great number to be able to tout, because almost all of our fields tend to be in hay or corn. We rarely get, and a lot of the corn goes to animal feed. We don't get great numbers of how many pounds of produce did
He may not have it, but he might have
land cultivate. No, but I think as a vegetable farmer, I bet you he probably would.
He certainly knows how much money he's made off of it. He could probably go back.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't know from those fields, it could be something that we suggest that we'd like to have,
Right.
in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. Yeah, for the 2025 season. So yeah, I'll get that information if he's got it.
Thank you.
Right, any other communication? Nothing, Michael?
No, sir.
So future meetings, so we have the issue of the time.
Right. So this time doesn't work for Terry and it doesn't work for Melissa. And there's only 6 main members. So if the time doesn't work for 1/3 of them, perhaps finding another time.
Yeah.
So the only times that don't work for staff are Mondays are bad because it's either planning and zoning or town council every Monday. And so we can't do Mondays because we've got to be at one of those meetings most of the time. And if Thursdays don't work, then we are open any Tuesday, or we are open any Wednesday other than the 3rd Wednesday.
Are we thinking the 5:30 time slot?
We can, or we can go later. 5:30 is good for staff because we're still in the building. And otherwise it makes it a little bit harder for us, but because these are fully virtual, I can take these from home. So if we want to go later, that's very doable. And if that's easier for people as opposed to having to rush home from a 5 o'clock work end day or get in out of the field early before you lose sunlight, totally understandable. We can push those later.
So Thursday might work for you and just do it later and you can just head home early and do it from home.
Thursday, I think there are two members that can't do
Is
Thursday.
Thursday's the time?
Thursday is the issue, so I
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
I don't know precisely what it is with Melissa, but I know that for Terry, Joshua's Trust does a lot of their organizational stuff. They have their board meetings as well as multiple activities, and so being involved in the local land trust creates a conflict there. So we could do a Wednesday or Tuesday if either of those are good.
Both of those are better for me. I would also, I don't know, suggest or put out there on my end, meeting at 6:30 would be better. But that's up to everyone else.
Let's go around
Tuesdays
and
and
see.
Wednesdays are better are fine for me, you know, with oddball exceptions. If there's like, you know, when there's a holiday on Mondays, meetings will get bumped to Tuesday.
Right.
So, but it's only once a month or less typically for this.
Yeah.
The first Wednesday's bad for me because that's when Human Rights meets.
Okay.
What about the second Wednesday?
Any other Wednesday's fine.
All right.
It wouldn't conflict with Taste of Mansfield because that's in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, whatever day. that
Right.
is.
And then the second Wednesday doesn't conflict with your meeting, with my meeting, or any Monday town council meetings that would get bumped to
Nope.
Tuesday because of a Monday
Fine.
holiday.
Wednesday's fine.
So
And the
let's
time-
aim, and for the only holidays in the year which are based on dates and not floating days, I don't think the second Wednesday would ever be one because I think they're all later in the month, stuff like Thanksgiving or Juneteenth. So that would never be an issue. So let's aim, unless we get July 4th. But you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yep.
We do normally meet in July, but that's a busy month anyway. So
Yeah.
I'll send out to Melissa, Diane, and Terry to see if Wednesday's second Wednesday at 6:30 would work for them, and we'll see what we can do.
Great. Okay. That it?
No motion for
That's
adjournment?
all's on the agenda.
Great. Okay,
Right.
I move we adjourn.
For the second?
We are adjourned.